2020, August 15th, 8:10 a.m. New paragraph. Now, you venture in around to enter hell, which would be the Colosseum, and you deal with the Hell Colosseum thing, which that part is actually backed up by some bits of reality, because the mark of the beast 666. Well, the mark of the beast 666 was the street address of Nero's palace, the Domus Aurea, which was torn down and replaced with the Colosseum, the pit of hell, as the guy who painted the painting of the pit of hell more than 175 years after Dante wrote it, and it was published, although it was published posthumously because it was too dangerous to publish while he was still alive, and the Vatican did try to kill him on several occasions. Period. Dante Alighieri had a death warrant under him for at least 3 or 4 times. In fact, one of them, the death warrants, forced him to leave the entire area, and he can come back several years later when cooler heads prevailed. Because at the time, the Vatican was completely convinced that what he was writing was blasphemy. Of course, at the time in Italy, knowing what letters were was blasphemy. The heresy laws were massively strict. You weren't allowed to know. The only information the Vatican wanted you to have in your head was information directly from the Bible, their approved Bible. But that goes into it. That's another whole can of worms altogether right then and there. Period. New paragraph. Okay. In addition to all that funky information, so you have Dante's Journey into Hell. That painting, by the way, that painting was either helped by, inspired by, worked with, advised to the guy who painted it, and Leonardo da Vinci were at the Florence School of Art at the same time for several years, or at least several years. And they advised each other on that information, period. So Da Vinci had a direct hand in the creation of the painting The Pit of Hell, inspired by Dante 175 years, give or take, before, period. Then you have the journey out of hell to purgatory, which would then be the bridge between the Colosseum, or the City of Pillars, and over to the Palace of Claudius, the Palace of Claudius is purgatory. At the end of purgatory, you get there's a gate between the Palace of Claudius and the Domus Juliae, and for the last 1,000, 1,500 years, maybe more, it has been assumed that St. Peter stood at the gate of heaven, and you had to pass his tests in order to be able to enter heaven. Well, hell, purgatory to the Domus Juliae, well, you had to pass through, in effect, St. Peter. Of course, then that brings up a whole bunch of interesting information regarding the 5 Pharaoh names, and that also, and 5 Pharaoh names, Jesus, Christ, Emmanuel, and then you get a little bit weird when the phrase comes up. Period, new line, new paragraph. You will build, in Latin be Peter. Your house, in Latin would be Simon. Upon me, in hieroglyphic would be Ben, the Ben stone, period. So in effect, right after the Last Supper, right before he was arrested, a few hours before he was arrested, Jesus said, I am Pharaoh. I take the name, my Pharaoh name, my Pope name will be Simon Peter. Simon House, the house of the Lord. Build it, Peter it on me, Simon Peter, house me. I am the foundation. So you build, you have your house, your Simon, upon my foundation, Peter me, Simon Peter. I am Pharaoh, Ben, and the me, and I am standing on the Jesus was saying, I'm standing on the Ben stone, and you build your house on me. I'm between the Ben stone, and your house is me. Period. New paragraph. That so you have passed through purgatory of Emperor Claudius is palace. Then you go to the Domus Juliae, heaven, and then you pass, and then there's another passage to back. There's another, and the easiest of the bridges to prove existed is the bridge between the Domus Juliae and the Temple of Venus, where you complete that circuit, you complete that circle, and you're now a past master or a grand master, and you are now ready to oversee the operations of that temple, the male operations of that temple, as a master. Period. New paragraph.